Welcome you to CII's 20th Global Sustainability Summit and to this session, Advancing Climate Action at COP30 and Beyond. I warmly welcome His Excellency Ambassador Andre Correa do Lago, President COP30 and former Ambassador to India, Her Excellency Dr. Anna Toni, CEO of COP30 and former National Secretary for Climate Change, Brazilian Ministry of Environment and Climate Change, and Mr. Chandrajit Banerjee, Director General, Confederation of Indian Industry, to the dais. I now kindly request Mr. Banerjee to take over the proceedings.
So after that wonderful start, we have a very strong session now, and it's a real pleasure and honor to welcome once again His Excellency Ambassador Andre Arana Correa do Lago, our President of COP30, and someone with whom I have had the pleasure and honor and opportunity to work very closely during his stay in India as the ambassador of Brazil into India. He loves India, I know that, and I dare ask him as to whether this visit was prompted by his love towards India or because of work. And I'm sure he's combining both work and pleasure. Ambassador, Excellency, it's great to have you with us, and you've been in this type of forum in India during your stay so very widely across the country. And today, I'm sure we'll have an excellent interaction with yourself. And it's a great pleasure and also indeed an opportunity to have with us Dr. Anna Toni, the CEO of COP30, and she herself has been, of course, as we know, the National Secretary for Climate Change in the Brazilian Ministry and has played critical roles both for Global South and for the world. Excellencies, this is a session following the inaugural on a year which marks the 20th anniversary of a Center of Excellence on Sustainable Development, which was created between the CII, the Indian industry, with collaborations of the Indian private sector, where ITC sponsored and really helped in putting this together. We, as an institution, we have remained committed to global climate dialogue since the COP15, as you know, in Copenhagen in 2009. And we have seen many, many changes since then till now, both in India as well as, of course, the world. And as a strategic partner in the Sustainable Business COP, led by our Brazilian counterpart, the CNI, they led it, and CII and CNI continue to work together on that to deepen the South-South cooperation, which really is critical, we feel, for our emerging economies in shaping an equitable, resilient, and an inclusive global climate agenda. Excellency, I do not wish to take much time beyond this because we do wish to have a session with yourself, both of yourselves, and it'll be great to have what follows from now, an interactive session with you. But Your Excellency, if I can put up a couple of thoughts for your opening remarks as we see the Belém COP, which is going to be a crucial milestone for our global climate negotiations. What was your perspective, and what would be your perspective? What would be your priorities? Do you see essential for building consensus? You know that, and amongst, we keep talking about the developed world and the developing world, especially on finance and equity. So it'll be great to understand a little bit from you on that. Plus, also another area which we have always discussed upon is about the nature-based solutions, forests and biodiversity, which are central to, of course, Brazil's climate narrative. How do you envision linking these priorities especially with those of the global climate environment, commitments. And India, we believe, can play a very strong role. But in your mind, what role can an emerging, developing, aspirational country like ours, what type of role it would have to play? With that, I'll conclude, and I'll once again very warmly welcome and request all of you to join me in welcoming the President and the Chief Executive Officer. President, Chief Executive. Thank you. May I now invite you to please make your remarks, please.
So good morning to all. It's a great pleasure to be here for many reasons. First, because of our good friendship from the time I was ambassador of Brazil to India until 2.5 years ago. And CII was an amazing partner in this very this significant improvement in the relationship between Brazil and India, which in recent years had been very significant. So, Banerjee, it's an enormous pleasure to be here with you and with Dr. Anatoni and be able to address you about COP30. Obviously, I think we are much more conscious of the negative context in which we are living to debate climate change than the positive elements. Recently, we have had a series of elements that have interfered into a progress that looked like was going to be a process that would not be interrupted. But as we can see, there are some significant elements that have entered into this equation and that we have to deal with. So first, there is the fact that COPs happen every year. So this is the 30th COP of the climate change regime. And it's 10 years from the Paris Accord. So I think that when President Lula called the COP to happen in Brazil, President Lula had some things very strong in his mind, and we discussed a lot about three elements. The first one is that President Lula, like also Prime Minister Modi, they believe very much in multilateralism, because multilateralism is an instrument that has served developing countries in a very significant way all these years. And we are, by the way, Brazil and India are being the two countries that are facing a unilateral decision of 50% tariff, and we are united, maybe not by choice, in that circumstance of being the only two countries that have 50% tariff from the US. So multilateralism is an instrument that we believe should be strengthened. So this is the very first thing that President Lula wants regarding COP30. But the second element I think is extremely important, is that President Lula says nobody knows what happens once the COP finishes. What do these documents really mean? Do these documents really affect people's life? Does the private sector understand what they can do based on those documents? So with the second concern of President Lula, we have structured an action agenda that is designed exactly to show to the world that we have already negotiated so many things. We have approved so many documents. What do we do with it? And so we want to invite you all, we want to invite the private sector to be a central actor at COP30, because it's the private sector that is going to be responsible for most of the implementation of what the governments decide. So you are at the center of COP30. So reiterating the invitation. And the third dimension that President Lula wants very much to insist is on the fact that we cannot limit the discussion of climate change only to the Climate Convention and the Paris Accord. We have to expand it way beyond WTO, World Bank, other development banks, other institutions, because climate change is affecting every sector of the economy, is affecting geopolitics, is affecting people's life and health. So everybody has to be involved in the implementation of what is decided under the convention. So we have to undo the idea that only a few people can decide about climate change and only a few people have to implement the fight against climate change. This is something that we have to do together. So Dr. Anatoni is going to present, when she speaks, our idea about the action agenda. What is the action agenda? Because many of you have been to many COPs. And COPs first were the negotiating COPs. Only governments would go and civil society would go. And the countries would decide, based on consultations at home, what would be the position of the country. But since Paris, there is this action agenda. And the action agenda was a very good idea of bringing the other actors, the actors that cannot negotiate but are very important. So it's the subnational governments, it's business, it's technology firms, it's academia, because science also is absolutely central, and civil society. So the action agenda is for the actors that are going to implement. And if we want this COP to be an implementation COP, we had to be able to translate what we did into what we can do. And this is what we did. We took the decision that all the countries agreed in Dubai, which is the GST, which is the global, what we agreed that we had to do in Paris, what could we use of the Paris Agreement and everything that was negotiated after it. So that stocktake that we did of Paris allowed us to have a list of initiatives that we already have a mandate. The countries have given a mandate in energy, in agriculture, in so many other areas, cities, etc. So we took these elements and we created the structure of the action agenda that Anna is going to present. And based on that, we want this COP to be a COP of solutions. We have to present solutions and we have to expand the use of the solutions. And obviously the finance is very important, technology is very important, and these are absolutely essential cross-cutting elements that we're going to deal with. So I like the idea that this is a business COP. I like that very much. And in Brazil, we received the very strong support of our CII, of CNI in Brazil, the Confederation, the National Confederation of Industry. And CNI in Brazil created a group that is being amazingly active and is coordinating already with more than 30 confederations in the world, including CII. So we are very glad that CNI and CII have partnered to bring the business to COP30. And so this is a celebration. I'm here in Delhi for many reasons. You said that maybe I would come here also to see friends and for pleasure. It's true, but unfortunately this is just a 2-day trip. But I just want to reiterate to all the Indians that are here that the almost 5 years that I spent in India were some of the happiest years in my life and my family life. So I come back to India always with enthusiasm, and this friendship between Brazil and India that is only growing can only fill me with enormous joy. So thank you very much for inviting me, and I hope we can interact on the COP30. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Excellency. Thank you for that lovely speech and thoughts. I'll turn now to Dr. Anatoni, our CEO of the COP30, in case you would like to come in with your comments, and then we spark up a couple of questions from the floor.
Hello, good morning. It's really a pleasure being here. Thank you so much, Mr. Banesh. It's a pleasure being here with Ambassador André Corrêa do Lago towards COP30. It's 69 days to COP30, and we're really pleased to come to India, not only to meet, obviously, government officials, but also to stress what Ambassador André said about inviting Indian business to join us in our action agenda, to join us at COP30. As was said, COP30 is a COP of implementation. And when we think about implementation, we see business and the subnational governments on the front line of implementation. We have been debating, negotiating for 10 years. Now it's time of action. And we do need to accelerate the actions at COP30. So let me introduce to you a little bit how we organize ourselves in terms of the action agenda. COP30 is organized in those 4 pillars. The summit's leaders, obviously negotiation is the core of COPs, the action agenda that have grown in these last 10 years, as well as mobilization, communication, that's so important towards COPs. What we have seen since the Paris Agreement, the action agenda has grown a lot, and we have mapped around 600 initiatives that private sector, as well as subnational governments and some governments have put forward, 600 of them. But if I was to ask you, if you know all those 600, if you can see all those 600, if they have been implemented or not, it's really hard for all of us to know because not all of them are being reported into a platform called NASCA platform under the UNFCCC. So COP30, together with the UNFCCC and the Climate Champions team, we have mapped those 600 initiatives. We tried to see where they were, and 300 of them are being very active, and we're trying now to work with those 300 that are active in order to organize and have a framework to work with them. So as Ambassador André Corrêa do Lago mentioned, we looked at the globe stocktake that was agreed in COP28 as the frame that we felt we need to work towards in terms of the action agenda. That has been negotiated and agreed by 198 countries. So we took these 196 paragraphs of the globe stocktake, divided in 6 thematic axes, and under those 6 thematic axes in 30 key objectives that I will show. And we're looking at solutions that the private sector and subnational governments have in order to accelerate the actions on those 30 objectives. So this is the 6 axes that we have chosen. So obviously energy, industry and transportation, forest, ocean and biodiversity, agriculture and food security, building cities and infrastructure, human and social development, and a very important one, the finance and technology one. You see little numbers under each of the axes. Those are the paragraphs of the globe stocktake that we have taken directly from the globe stocktake that has been agreed by countries in order to guide what we wanted to achieve in each of them. Then under those 6 axes, we chose as COP30 presidency some of those paragraphs, as you can see, and it will be some of the paragraphs that you probably will recognize: tripling renewable energy, doubling energy efficiency, ensuring universal access to energy, transitioning away from fossil fuel, resilient and adaptive sustainable food system. All those objectives have been agreed in COP28. And the question we asked is how companies, subnational governments, or governments that wanted to go faster in terms of contributing to those objectives, what are the initiatives that they have had in the past or they wanted to put forward in the future towards those objectives that have been agreed. So after we done all of that, they will have to undergo on 4 steps. The first of them is obviously, as I said, mapping all the initiatives that have been done since the Paris Agreement that contributed to those objectives. We have done this mapping already. We have asked those 300 initiatives that we know that are active for them to report on the NASCA platform, which is this UNFCCC system, where they can report on their voluntary goals and how are they implementing their own goals, so that it's more transparent and everybody can also see how they're contributing. Then we are building together with Sustainable Development Corp, the World Business Council, CNI, and all the other networks of companies, a granary of solutions for each of those objectives. And based on them, we will then, for COP30, bring acceleration plans in order to achieve those goals and to accelerate the action in all those 30 objectives. This is just an example. For example, on this is the first axis, the objective of tripling renewable energy. We realize all those initiatives from the private sector related only to that one objective. We put in all those initiatives together to speak to each other, to see how they complement each other and how they can work together in order to achieve that goal. There is a small secretariat, and everybody is obviously, many of the companies here, I'm sure, have joined some of those initiatives. Those are some of the solutions that have, for example, been put forward. This is just as an example. Grids is obviously very important. Minerals, very, very important. System efficiency of cooling systems. Those are some of the solutions that the companies are bringing. They wanted to work together on some of those, and that's what is going to be presented at COP30. There will be a platform where all those solutions are going to be put forward. We're doing a big campaign, and I'd like to ask you to join that campaign on putting your solutions in the platform. And then we will collect them all, having all those voluntary action plans, and then release them at COP30 and beyond. Because obviously, we are not just stopping during COP30 in November, that our presidency will continue until next November. We'll have the chance to finalize the action agenda. For the first time, we will have at COP30 in Belém a space, a pavilion for each of the axes that I presented. They will be pavilions of the COP30 presidency, where we are inviting business sector to come and present their solutions in Belém in order to show in each of the sectors, in each of the axes, the solutions that we want, what they are doing. And we will have a space for that debate to take place during the 2 weeks of the COP. Just finalizing here, it's important that the way we structured looking at the Globe Stocktake doesn't end on COP30. This year is an important year because at COP30, countries will decide the 5 years plans of the action agenda. So we are proposing and obviously discussing with all the countries that the same frame which is using the Globe Stocktake as the frame in which the action agenda works will work for the next COPs. It's really important. We know that India will be the presidency, or wants to be the presidency of COP33, in which the next Globe Stocktake will take place. So if we use the Globe Stocktakes always as a frame, then the action agenda from the business community as well as from the subnational governments, we can see that contribution in each of the cycles of the Globe Stocktake. So that's how we are organizing our action agenda. We have a way for, I mean, obviously if you go into COP30's site, there is a way for either through the initiatives or through any of, obviously, sustainable development COP or the CNI, you can join in, bring your solutions, and participate in any of those axes and presented your initiatives at COP30. So I just wanted to introduce how we organizing ourselves. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Anatoni, for that wonderful presentation with so much of information. And please, I just wanted to say that from your presentation, what we take away are some of key areas of where we can prepare, how we can prepare, and how we can contribute, especially to the 30 pointers that you presented. We will see to it that we will have the Indian industry to participate and contribute to thoughts from now. I was requesting Excellency, the Ambassador, the President, that if we could have an online discussion with you at some point in time with the Indian industry to get our thoughts collected on the presentation that you have made, so that we can take forward and strengthen our participation at COP30 and, of course, take the coalition forward. With that, I'd like to once again thank the Ambassador, the President of COP30, and the CEO for sparing their time and presenting to us a curtain raiser, if I may say, on COP30, which would be very, very useful for the discussions over the next 2 days in this summit. And we look forward to being connected and contributing from India in the manner that you have raised today. Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. Thank you, Madam CEO.
Thank you very much to the esteemed dignitaries on the dais for a very insightful session on COP30 and beyond. Ladies and gentlemen, please